It's time for this week's installment of Made in Canada. And Danielle Bokov is here with the story of one Army major who really was, Danny, I guess, in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, if you are a military historian, you will like this story. If you're a movie buff, you will also like this this story, because essentially what you have is a major in the Canadian Forces. He's called in as a consultant on a certain big-ticket Hollywood movie with a very big-name star. His job is to provide military expertise and to protect the equipment on loan from the Canadian military. But along the way, the seeds of a business are born.
Your friend dies.
The movie is Rambo: First Blood. The star, of course, Sylvester Stallone, and the military equipment, Canadian.
A tasking message had arrived from Ottawa advising me that I would be the military technical advisor and coordinator to Ted Kotchev, the director, to make sure that everything happened in a timely and military fashion, and that the movie company wouldn't make free with the Queen's equipment.
In fact, there was a massive theft on set of guns loaned by a California company. But Ian Newby, then a captain in Canada's armed forces, kept a much tighter grip on the Canadian supplies. That led to more consulting, and in 1987, a decision to leave the Army and set up Aldergrove's International Movie Services, or IMS.
We can provide everything from period uniforms, the appropriate equipment and insignia that goes with them, vehicles. Basically, if you come along and tell us that you want to restage the Normandy landings, we'll make a damn good try to make it happen.
And he has. Ian supplied World War II Canadian uniforms and equipment for the CBC's production of Dieppe in 1994. His equipment has been used in thousands of productions, including Airwolf, MacGyver, The X-Files, and CBC's The Border. He worked with Bruce Willis on 16 Blocks and Harrison Ford in K-19.
Solve this. That's why you're here, you understand?
Since shipping military equipment across international borders is complicated, Ian concentrates on Canadian productions. But times are tough. The strong Canadian dollar is scaring away U.S. producers. Ian estimates production has dropped by a third in the last year.
Our position is fortunate in that everything here was purchased and paid for a decade ago. And we're not sitting with an enormous overhead that's going to kill us. We can survive a downturn in the industry, whereas a lot of marginal operations aren't going to see the summer this year.
In a good year, Ian says he takes in about $1 million, of which $990,000 goes back into the business. Ian's equipment doesn't come cheap, to rent or to buy.
The vehicle that's immediately behind me is worth $6 million United States dollars. We, of course, didn't pay that. This is the prototype for the Stryker Coyote 8-wheel drive vehicle currently used in Afghanistan and Iraq. Most prototypes are cut up. We paid rather a lot of money for it, but it's the only one in the world in private hands.
So how does a lover of military memorabilia cope when the time comes to put his prized inventory under siege?
We have a Jeep that's been blown up on 3 different productions, and we have a 6-wheel drive M35 deuce-and-a-half troop carrier that's been blown up and burned so many times now, we're getting tired of putting it back together again. But if the movies want to blow something up and they can afford it, and it's not unique, we'll blow it up for them.
If you want to know more about IMS, you can go to internationalmovie.com.
An amazing story. Who knew?
Yeah, exactly. Right here in Canada.
All these huge business success stories.
I brought some props in.
Yes.
We have the entire uniform, basically, that was worn by Roy Dupuis, the actor in the movie Shake Hands with the Devil when he played Romeo Dallaire.
Yes.
So the medals.
And the uniforms here.
And the uniform as
and
well.
The kind of
few people on the crew have been wearing that this morning.
Yeah, and the beret, of course. The famous blue beret. Danny, amazing. Thank you so much for coming in with that. And of course, we always want to hear from you. If you have a success story that we should be profiling for Made in Canada, send us an email. CBC News Morning at cbc.ca. That's our address.